This was really a nice chapter to start off these one-on-one battles, and Sasuke's really got his work cut out for him, boy, let me tell you, but it is good. Naruto, number 67, Unholy Gifts. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and battle-filled tale of Naruto. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with really the preliminaries, the calm before the storm, I guess you would call it, being this tournament that they've put together to kind of, dwindle down and separate the winners from the losers. They're going to have 10 battles. There's 20 combatants, obviously, facing off against each other, and I'm assuming that the 10 that wind up coming out on top in their battles will actually move forward and on then to the third phase of the Chunin exams. So the chapter wound up leaving off with the first two selections being Sasuke and one of the guys that we know is to be a spy for Orochimaru from Kabuto's cell, and that's Yoroi. And they wind up, and then that's how the chapter leaves off, them both kind of facing off and about to get busy over here and fight. And it's a fight to the death or until someone yields or someone's no longer able to actually participate. So that is how the chapter left off. That's where this one picks up right away, and we wind up finding out almost immediately that Sasuke and this bite mark that he has, this curse from Orochimaru, is certainly it's something that's going to cause some issues. It's already starting to cause some issues over here. And as everybody's kind of clearing the room and going up to the second level, the balcony and whatnot, to watch this fight transpire and what have you between these two, Kakashi walks by Sasuke and says, "Don't use the Sharingan." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean? How did you know?" And he's like, listen, that bite on you, what's going to wind up happening is if you use that and use up too much chakra, that's going to go and wind up feeding into that, and you're going to wind up, they're going to wind up calling the match. They're going to suspend the match, and I'm going to have to come in and stop you. Don't make me have to do that. So he's explaining to him that you cannot expend too much of your chakra, which obviously the Sharingan uses up a lot of, if not all of his chakra, and it's certainly something that he cannot do because that's ultimately what winds up making that mark stronger and more painful, and then he has to go and try to turn to tap into that energy. At least that's how I took it anyway. So he kind of gets that warning from Kakashi, and he's thinking, fuck, man, I can't even use some of my moves now, so to speak, some of the things that I'm used to or that I wanted to, because I have to kind of be wary. And anybody who's ever been in any type of sport competition or even a fight, or even, for instance, if you were in, like, when I was in the martial arts and we would have, tournaments, or we would have sparring, free fighting, they called it, against other opponents, there's certain people that you'd go up against that you'd hold back a little bit, you obviously wouldn't go 110% when you were just doing a free fighting in a class, as opposed to when you were actually at a tournament or at a promotional testing and all eyes were on you and you knew you kind of had to go, go to 11, right? So it's the same type of thing with this, is that, he can't fully use his power, and he's going to be hesitant, and hesitation obviously can be perceived as a weakness and can wind up ultimately losing the battle for you. But anyway, they wind up going and facing off, and, kind of like a Mortal Kombat, round one, fight! And then as they go and they start to get into it and everything, immediately Yoroi goes and winds up pulling out, some shurikens, and winds up, tossing those at him at Sasuke's way. Or maybe they were the kunais, I don't remember. One or the other looked like he was pulling out both of them. I think he might have been pulling out the shurikens. Maybe Sasuke pulled out the kunai. Anyway, Sasuke winds up deflecting them, and this battle is, starts to kind of rage on as they're going. What winds up happening is they wind up clashing, and they actually get together, and it's almost like in a wrestling match, it looks like. Sasuke goes and kind of takes him down, and he's got him in kind of like an arm bar takedown, and he's holding on to his arm, and then obviously trying to go. He's got all his strength, he's pulling back on him, and all of a sudden he feels his strength just starting to fade, and he doesn't know why, right? Well, we find out very quickly, I guess, within a few pages into the actual battle, that Yoroi, that's his power. That's his unholy power. We kind of see it through the eyes of like a little Orochimaru monologue, Basically, his power is that whatever he comes into contact with his hand, his palm, he can siphon their chakra. He can siphon their mental and physical energy, right? So him just having contact with Sasuke like he did was able to go and weaken him, and then of course he was able to get a couple hits in him and then hits on him and then break away, And so now this is the absolute worst opponent that Sasuke could face, because he can't expend too much of his chakra anyway, because if his chakra levels get depleted, everything's going to go to shit, right? Because of the curse mark. So he's really in a catch-22 now. And now he's fighting against a guy who, whenever he touches you and comes in contact with you, steals your fucking energy, you know? So very cool stuff, man. And I tell you, oh man, it's so hard for me to not go and speak ill of those that just want to go and down and be negative about this series, and only because I'm so fresh and new to it, and still being in that first 100 chapters of it, it still feels fun, it feels good, it feels exciting. I'm stoked. There's adventure, there's excitement, there's fights, there's great moves, the characters, man, just everything has been so cool so far. And honestly, I really hope that it stays that way for me. I don't let outside influence, you know, I don't let outside opinions influence how I look at something. I come to my own conclusion from things, and who knows, maybe 300 or 400 chapters from now, some of these plot devices and things like that will be reused so many times to the point where they become cheesy or unbelievable, or I just kind of flat out get tired of it. I don't know. I know that I'm loving it right now. I'm about 400 chapters into One Piece. I'm loving that very much. I'm, you know, 60 or 70 episodes into Hunter x Hunter. I'm loving that. I truly enjoy Attack on Titan, even though it can be depressing sometimes, you know. Toriko, I'm coming up on the 100th chapter. That's fucking awesome. So, I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'm just a goofy-ass fanboy with things. But I'd like to think that, you know, that I do have a pretty good objective perspective on these things, you know, and I try to go and I try to take the good from things. I try to be somebody who talks about the positive of things instead of the person that goes and picks out every little negative, you know. You can find negatives in anything that you look at, in any aspect or any facet of life, if you look hard enough. You can complain about anyone or anything. And trust me, I've done it. I've been there and done that before. I choose now to try to go and look for the positive in things, and sometimes it's very difficult to find the positives in things, and then maybe you do have to go and spend a little bit of time and say, you know what, this really wasn't for me, and blah, blah, blah. But, hey, listen, again, you know, not everyone's cup of tea. It is what it is. That's how I am, and that's how I handle things. So, back to the matter at hand. Obviously, as the fight goes and progresses on, now Sasuke, as he goes and is aware of what Yoroi's power is, he now knows that he cannot come in contact with him. He's got to avoid his ass like the plague, right? And then it's kind of cool because you wind up getting Naruto going and yelling down from the balcony. He's like, hey, Sasuke, don't be a big weak-ass chicken, or whatever he calls him, right? You know, he basically is just trying to get under his skin. And he's thinking in his mind at one point, Naruto's like, yeah, you better go and kick this dude's ass so you can actually fight me like you wanted to, you know? So Naruto wants a piece of that Sasuke Uchiha action, you know? And I just thought it was great because it seemed like it pissed off Sasuke, but it seemed like it pissed him off just enough to where, you know, then Yoroi's like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, you know, I'm coming right at you. And as he's coming right at him in slow motion, then you kind of see, like, the look of everybody's faces, like, you know, that type of thing. Then all of a sudden, man, he just goes and busts out and just goes, boom, and throws up this, and it looks like a standing side. I don't have enough room in the room here, nor am I flexible enough anymore to actually do it, but it looks like a kind of like where he squats back a little bit, like leans back a little bit, and then it looks like a standing side kick where he just puts all of his weight right into underneath the guy's chin, up through his chest, into his chin, and he just boom, nails him, right? Next panel, you go and you see you see Lee, and you see Guy, and Lee's like, that's my... And it looks just like that move that Lee went and pulled, right? So I don't know if that was something that he picked up on when he used the Sharingan or what, but that's how the chapter winds up ending off, is, you know, looking like Sasuke just frickin' cleaned this Yoroi's clock. At the very least, this fucker must be dazed, because when I saw the depiction of it, I got a little bit lightheaded. So you know this dude must be like, a little punch drunk, or foot to the face drunk, you know. Nonetheless, though, again, very, very cool chapter. Everything about it. And again, the action, that's the way it's depicted. Here's the actual page that I was going to show. And then the kind of everybody in their oh shit moment, you know, as they're looking around. And I just thought it was beautiful. The way it's depicted, the way the lines to make it look like, hey, he was coming at him, and now he's moving back quickly because he's getting hit, you know. And then again, too, you get just kind of see everybody over here in different panels like, holy shit, right? And then Sasuke even says something to the effect of, after this, I'll limit myself to my own special skills, but for now, and then boom, end of the chapter, right? So man, what an explosive chapter. I cannot wait to get into the next one. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is really, what were your thoughts on Sasuke and having to obviously limit himself within the battle, you know, so he can avoid just a number of pieces of shit hitting the fan. Let's just put it that way. We all know what's going to happen if he winds up expending too much of his chakra. But what are your thoughts on him having to limit himself in that battle, and certainly I think it winds up being a detriment to him not being able to go and use his full skill set, especially against someone that, you know, this dude Yori, he's no joke. I mean, at least he doesn't seem like it anyway. Certainly seems like a formidable opponent. And what, and then too, what the hell? And then he's got to go against the guy that can siphon chakra with his freaking hand, right? You know, Jesus, man. I could think of some gross sexual jokes with that. You know, like how does he masturbate and things like that? Does he suck his own chakra out of himself? Does he siphon it or what? But we're not going to get into that right now because that's a tale for another time. That's a video for another time too, I think. So, but leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Remember to subscribe to my other channels and follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.